attorney's eyes only designation to protect, as they term it, highly confidential information that could destroy the careers of the third-party people that are involved.
This just in, Justin Baldoni's team has issued a response in opposition to dismiss the New York Times, and there is a bit of a smoking gun.
Ryan Reynolds, fired from Hollywood in a shocking twist. One of Tinseltown's brightest stars has reached his breaking point, and the person behind his explosive downfall is none other than his own wife, Blake Lively. Their once glamorous Hollywood empire is crumbling after Blake's reckless move backfired spectacularly, costing them a massive movie deal and getting them blacklisted by furious studio executives.
I suspect that might be making Ryan Reynolds extremely nervous, and I'll tell you why.
Now, Ryan faces the ultimate betrayal from the one person he trusted most. For the first time ever, the usually witty and composed Reynolds is seeing red, caught in a firestorm of chaos ignited by Blake. What did she do to get them kicked out of Hollywood? And how is Ryan coping as everything they built comes crashing down overnight? Scandal, betrayal, and a marriage on the brink. This is the story everyone's talking about.
Lively vs. Baldoni. How right-wing influencers are weaponizing the fight to take down #MeToo.
This is the Hollywood meltdown no one saw coming. Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking truth behind Blake Lively's betrayal and Ryan Reynolds' fury. Once adored, this power couple is now at the center of a storm that's shaking Hollywood to its core. Their latest film, Another Simple Favor, has been torn apart by critics, and their presence in the industry seems to be causing more tension than excitement.
How much is going to come through in the transcript that can be read now, but audibly, because we were able to call in to that hearing and listen to it, there did seem to be a lot of stress and a lot of tension, particularly when it came to those points.
And honestly, no one is surprised. Reviews have slammed the film as tired, silly, and uninspired, but the real issue isn't just the script or pacing, it's Blake and Ryan themselves. Insiders reveal that their constant behind-the-scenes drama turned the entire production into a nightmare. Instead of captivating audiences, they managed to drain all the joy out of the experience with their relentless personal battles and questionable PR tactics.
Felt almost like nervously so from her team of how much that clearly was the most important thing for them.
Another Simple Favor was supposed to be an exciting follow-up to the original, A Simple Favor, but the negative buzz surrounding Blake and Ryan overshadowed everything. Top critics from The Hollywood Reporter and Variety didn't hold back, tearing the movie apart and calling it dull, repetitive, and weighed down by unnecessary drama. Instead of blaming the script alone, industry insiders are pointing fingers directly at the couple's ongoing controversies.
Her books are so good you can't put them down. I believe this is her first book that was made into a movie. He read it. He wanted it to be like a serious movie about domestic violence.
Wherever they go, whether on screen, at premieres, or on the red carpet, a storm of chaos follows. Sequels often struggle to live up to the original, but in this case, Blake and Ryan's behavior only made things worse. Their off-screen scandals loomed over every aspect of production, from Blake's legal troubles to Ryan's behind-the-scenes meddling. The question now is, can they recover, or is this the beginning of the end for Hollywood's once-beloved power couple?
Given what we're looking at and what's happening and the backlash and everything else, I can't imagine Blake's celebrity friends are happy that it's gotten to this point.
Rather than letting the movie speak for itself, Blake and Ryan took control of the narrative, turning every minor issue into a major controversy. Observers noted that Another Simple Favor might not have been an instant classic under normal circumstances, but the couple's involvement dragged it to new lows. By the time the credits rolled, audiences left the theater feeling more frustrated than entertained. And even before its release, whispers of Blake's behind-the-scenes meltdown were already making headlines.
And she, along with Sony, she wanted to build her brand, she being Blake Lively, and she wanted to be like florally rom-com. I'm Lily Bloom, and I work at a flower shop. Get it?
That so-called meltdown? It was reportedly triggered by brutal early reviews, not just from mainstream critics, but from special screening attendees as well. Instead of addressing the feedback, Blake's personal troubles, including ongoing legal battles, completely overshadowed any potential buzz for the film. Witnesses described the situation as an all-out crisis, with Ryan right there beside her, spinning media narratives and fanning the flames of controversy against anyone who dared to criticize them.
The judge heard the arguments. I felt Friedman made the better case.
But their frantic attempts at damage control only made things worse. The more they tried to fix their public image, the more their credibility crumbled. Fans grew tired of their constant media maneuvers, and insiders revealed that behind the scenes, tensions were even higher than the public knew. Directors and producers found themselves caught between the chaos of Blake's legal troubles and the growing frustration of working under such intense scrutiny.
So she was like, wear your floral prints and come see the movie, gals! Every day is Galentine's Day!
And Ryan? His involvement only added another layer of confusion. What should have been a smooth sequel quickly spiraled into a PR disaster. Instead of focusing on elevating the script or perfecting their performances, Blake and Ryan poured their energy into controlling the media narrative. But critics weren't buying it. Reviewers slammed the film as silly, exhausting, and ultimately not worth the hype, echoing the exact sentiment of the crew who had to endure the behind-the-scenes drama.
The judge was calling both of them out. He was attempting to keep things being neutral, but there were definitely moments where Brian's arguments felt stronger than the other side.
The chaos didn't stop there. On set, the rumored tension between Blake and her co-star, Anna Kendrick, became impossible to ignore. Whispers of a falling out spread like wildfire, especially after Anna noticeably distanced herself from Blake during interviews and red carpet appearances. While Blake tried to smooth things over with cheerful social media posts, fans quickly noticed the obvious. Anna was missing from most of them. It was clear something was seriously off.
Sided with her. And everyone's like, why did Sony side with her when he wanted the movie cut this way? He wanted the movie marketed this way because she is Mrs. Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan, in his usual sneaky fashion, tried to control the media storm, but his vague, deflective statements only made things worse. Instead of clearing up the rumors, his cryptic responses fueled even more speculation. Meanwhile, Blake's legal battle with Justin Baldoni loomed in the background. She accused him of serious wrongdoing, yet critics pointed out she provided no real evidence. And as always, Ryan played the role of an over-involved partner, pushing PR-driven strategies that only seemed to backfire.
And he made it very clear that some of the things that Blake was afraid of coming out in court were not things that Wayfarer was actively pursuing.
Desperate to shift public perception, the couple employed shady tactics, blocking negative comments, censoring criticism, and allegedly using fake accounts to flood social media with over-the-top praise for Blake. But people weren't fooled. The sudden surge of suspiciously supportive posts only made it clear that they were trying to manipulate the conversation. And the worst part? Their ongoing controversies started to drag down the entire cast and crew of Another Simple Favor.
Sony didn't want to piss off Blake Lively because they didn't want to piss off Ryan Reynolds.
Director Paul Feig, often called a diva whisperer, did everything he could to keep the production afloat, but even he couldn't calm the chaos surrounding Blake and Ryan. He worked tirelessly to salvage the film, but the public seemed far more interested in the endless drama. His attempts to dismiss rumors of a rift between Blake and Anna Kendrick fell flat, as fans could sense the tension every time the two appeared in public together.
As new articles come out sort of weaponizing the political ideologies that might be trying to dismantle beliefs involved in this.
The cracks were impossible to ignore. Fans saw how forced Blake and Anna's interactions seemed, and every denial only made things look worse. And when the reviews started rolling in, the verdict was clear. Critics had major issues with the film. Some called out its slow pacing, while others blamed the clunky script. But the biggest issue? Blake and Ryan themselves. Their never-ending PR disasters overshadowed any real discussion of the movie, turning it into a scandal instead of a sequel.
And Blake Lively is harmed. Ryan Reynolds gets involved. And so that's what we learned from this whole thing.
At this point, judging the film on its own merits became impossible. Every conversation about Another Simple Favor spiraled back to Blake and Ryan's manipulative behavior. The actual plot of the movie was drowned out by the spectacle of their meltdown. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more bizarre, reports surfaced that the couple had hired a high-profile PR expert, one with alleged ties to intelligence work. Extreme measures for an extreme crisis. But was it already too late to save their careers?
We don't think we should have to present some of our text messages in Discovery with our high-profile clients, that being Taylor Swift and whoever else. Some people say Bradley Cooper and whatever other friends of Blake Lively might get sucked into this.
Harassment. The New York Times published basically all of the claims that she had made against him. If this were in the middle of the Me Too movement, he would have been canceled. And he's like, no, I didn't do anything wrong.
Determined to twist reality, Blake and Ryan relied on shady, behind-the-scenes tactics instead of facing the truth head-on. Rather than answering tough questions, they hid behind secret strategies, relentless PR spin, and suspicious waves of online support. But their attempt to control the narrative quickly fell apart. What seemed like a well-oiled media operation turned into a transparent mess, one that fans and critics saw right through.
Justin Baldoni's side argued that they think that she shouldn't receive any preferential treatment because she's famous, and we need to see all this information. We'll redact it, we'll keep it from the public, and they say, no, you'll leak it.
The controversy deepened when IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes scores for Another Simple Favor became a hot topic. IMDb ratings mysteriously plummeted to a shocking 2.9, only to disappear entirely. Suddenly, users couldn't even rate the film. On Rotten Tomatoes, the score fluctuated wildly from 73% to 80%, even though only a handful of people had seen the movie at its festival premiere. Many suspected Blake and Ryan's team of manipulating the numbers to boost public perception. And that wasn't all. Some attendees at the premiere claimed they saw planted actors, cheering way too enthusiastically, as if their excitement was rehearsed rather than real. But instead of creating hype, the strange atmosphere only made things worse, leaving people questioning everything about the couple's authenticity.
He was saying I didn't do anything wrong. Ryan Reynolds gargled my marbles, and here are the texts that shows just how much he loved me, which is really, great for him.
Fans weren't fooled. Many praised Anna Kendrick for her quiet refusal to play along with the PR games, hoping the movie might succeed despite Blake and Ryan's antics. But that hope quickly faded. No matter how much reporters tried to steer conversations back to the film, Blake would shift the focus to her personal battles, while Ryan threw in distractions to keep the drama alive. Soon, people stopped caring about the movie altogether. It wasn't a sequel anymore. It was just another chapter in their never-ending controversy.
The public is entitled to see different court papers. Everything's supposed to be public, right? Freedom of Information Act is supposed to be public, but in certain cases like this,
things spiraled so far out of control that conspiracy theories emerged. Some believed Blake and Ryan were deliberately creating more scandals just to stay in the headlines. Others thought they might disappear from the spotlight altogether, only to stage a massive, calculated comeback later. Either way, their obsession with controlling the narrative had backfired. Audiences grew exhausted, longing for the days when movies were judged on their own merits rather than being drowned out by manipulative PR campaigns. The entire ordeal serves as a harsh lesson on what happens when arrogance overtakes creativity. Blake and Ryan had every opportunity to focus on making a good film, but instead, they spent their energy on damage control, fake hype, and shutting down criticism. Fans saw through the lies, and the backlash was swift. Even if they try to brush off the negativity, their brand is undeniably tarnished. Another Simple Favor will likely be remembered, not as a flawed sequel, but as a movie destroyed by the toxic egos of its stars. Their downfall is a warning to Hollywood. You can't treat fans and colleagues like pawns in a twisted game and expect to come out unscathed. Money and influence might buy time, but they can't buy respect. Blake and Ryan have displayed none of the honesty, humility, or professionalism required to sustain a lasting career. They thought they could manipulate their way out of trouble, but instead, they exposed their own worst qualities for the world to see. And now, as the dust settles, one thing is clear. This meltdown wasn't just a fluke. It was the inevitable consequence of their own reckless choices.